cents an hour. Well, quarter was a
That's
quarter, you
that's a
know.
pretty significant increase. That's a 50%
So
increase.
I went to work for her. But she was so hateful. Oh my gosh, that woman was hateful. I don't think she meant to be. It was just the tone of her voice.
Mm.
But oh my lands, I thought, what have I got into, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't have Brian then. I was pregnant with Brian. Uh, and I told her, I said, I really don't want to work out front,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I was pretty big, you know. I said, I'll wash dishes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she said, okay, that'll be all right. So I washed dishes and she put someone else out front. And she had more or less just a, well, almost a sandwich shop, you'd call it. She had a lot of hamburgers, cheeseburgers, hot beef sandwiches, and stuff like that. But she didn't have the full meals.
Mm.
But people, it seemed like they were satisfied with the hot beef sandwiches and stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, yeah, I like to just get the entree.
that's but when she talked to you or give you an order to do something, like my land, it was just like, well, you don't have to talk to me like that. You know, I can do it without you yelling at me like that. I worked for her until after Brian was born. Who did I go back to work? Who did I go to work for? I went back to work when he was 3 months old,
Wow.
but I don't remember who I went to work for. I think I went back to the restaurant out there on the highway. Um, I had worked there before when Randy was a baby, and I think I went back to work out there. Um, and then they had a restaurant uptown they called Cornbreads,
Hmm.
but they sold liquor.
Oh,
So I had to
what?
be over 21. Well, I was 23
Mm-hmm.
when I had Brian. So I worked up there for a while. But I was working, actually, I was working at Keller Hospital. I went to work there in 71. Yeah, I went to work there in 71. Um, but I worked at the Homestead Cafe, and then I'd go uptown. I'd work at Cornbreads
Hmm.
for 2 hours, and then I'd go work at the hospital from 1 until 9.
Busy schedule.
I worked three jobs there for. I did that for 3 months, and I thought, what am I doing? I can't do this. But I did it for 3 months. And the funny thing is, I had a car. I drove to work when I went to the. I didn't have to drive to the restaurant because I just lived right across the street from it. But then the one uptown, I had to. But I found myself walking up there, and then when I'd leave there, I'd go home and take a quick shower, change clothes, and go to the hospital, go to work. And I said, I can't keep doing this. It's killing me,
Yeah, I don't know if
you
I'd manage
know.
it.
Uh, because I went to work over at the other restaurant right by the house. I went to work over there at 5:30 and worked till 10 or till 9:30. Then I went to work at 10 up at the other restaurant. Then when I got off there, as soon as the lunch crowd was over, then I went home, took a shower, and went to the hospital.
Hmm.
It was just getting way too much.
Mm-hmm. I've hardly got any time to rest with that kind of schedule.
But I made good money up at the restaurant uptown. But you take in the daytime, even if they sell drinks, there's not much going on in the daytime. If you want to make money, tips for something like that, your evening shift is the one to work, not the day shift.
That makes sense.
Because most people don't drink during the day,
Yeah.
So, and while I was up there's so many of those drinks I had heard about that I'd never drank, or anything. I never drank much. But they had the pina colada and I never did drink a margarita. Right to this day, I haven't never drank one. Pina colada and a strawberry daiquiri. And there was one other one that I wanted to try, Well, the pina colada wasn't bad. That wasn't too bad. But by the time I'd get through with it, it was like, I really don't want to go to work at the hospital. I'd rather go home.
Yeah.
So I quit doing that,
Yeah,
and then I dropped that job a little bit later on and just worked the one restaurant in the hospital. Then that gave me a chance that when I'd get off at 10, I could go home and lay down for an hour or so. I could take me a shower and put everything on but my clothes, and then I could go to the hospital, get up and get dressed, and go to the hospital. And that made it so much easier on me. But most of the time, I just left my car set. It was I lived in I don't know, Lisa may have showed her to you if she's ever took you to Fayette. Me and her both lived there because she moved in there after I moved out.
Right.
But it was in between the grocery store on one side and the restaurant on the other side. And I'd usually just leave the car parked and walk to those two places.
Yeah.
Unless it was pouring down rain or something, and then I'd take the car. But it was I liked the hospital, except when I had to do a lot of admissions, more than just one or two at a time, because I couldn't, they didn't have computers. They bought a computer just before I left. But it was this great big tall machine that was, took these big long sheets of paper to put in them and everything, And I was just learning how to put the stuff in them when I quit. Because I thought, I will never learn this stuff. And then the first thing I had to do was do a computer when I went to work shortly after I went to work at the bookstore. Because I started out in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Shelving books. God, that was hard work. It was hard work. It wasn't so bad as long as I could stand on the floor. But when I had to climb up and down the ladders and go clear up to the top, that was hard.
Yeah.
And I was already 52, 53 years old when I went to work there, and it was just... But by the time you get that old, you're slowing down a lot, And I liked that job until they got Christy Lambert in there. She was something else, and I'm not quite sure what that was.
Something new.
She didn't know how to do anything when she came there. She had worked there once before, but she worked in Pam Warren's office. And so that didn't have anything to do with me. But then when Pam made her assistant, because she got more tax stuff than she did all the tax stuff. And when they hired Christy to do Pam's job, so Pam could do the taxes and all that kind of stuff, you know. The girls that did the filing and the girls that did the other stuff in there had to teach her everything from the word go, you know. And then the next thing I know, I was dealing with customers. The next thing I know, she took that away from me. Then the next thing I know, she took something else away from me and put me to scanning stuff when they started scanning stuff. And she was always, and she expected me to help everybody else, you know, with their stuff. If they need help, then you have to. I said, I have to learn everybody's job because they can't come to work on time. I'm here an hour early every morning, you know. Well, she said, that's unfair to all the other people that was coming in late. We had one that sat there at that front desk. She was never on time, ever. And she lived down Interstate 70 somewhere. She was about 6-7 miles out of Columbia, you know. And she waited until 5 minutes to 8 to start the work. And she's supposed to be to work at 8 o'clock. And then she'd get tied up in traffic or always some excuse that she couldn't make it on time. It was almost 8:30 almost every morning, and sometimes even later. And I had to sit there and do her work. And then the one that was doing the checks, entering the checks and stuff like that, she couldn't manage to get to work on time either, if she managed to show up at all. So I had to learn how to do her job.
You got a bunch of flakes.
And then if I had to be gone for a day or so, nobody did my job. Nobody. All they did was just throw it on my desk. Didn't even put it decent. Just throw it on my desk, you know. And I never took no vacation. I'd take maybe Friday off, you know. Maybe Friday and Monday. But when I did, I had a mess when I went back. And
they were worthless without you, huh?
She never made nobody learn how to do any of my jobs. And I had to learn how to do just about everybody else's. And then she started firing everybody.
It was kind of a long time coming from what you've told me.
Oh, I wish I had the video that they took of that. What do you call the male dancers? That dances with practically no clothes on.
Stripper?
Yeah. They hired one of those for her 40th birthday. And within a year, she had gotten rid of everybody.
Wow.
Except for one person that had it. Even if they just gave 50 cents in on it.
Wow.
But she got rid of everybody that had anything to do with it.
Wow, she had a plan.
I can't hardly blame her. He was something else. He was 52 years old. Little bitty skinny guy. And when he came in, he was dressed like a clown.
Oh my gosh.
He was fully dressed and everything, you know. And but then he got to taking off this and taking off that, you know, and everything, and sitting on different women's laps, and
Oh yeah.
doing weird stuff, and just being what he was hard to do.
Yeah.
And he had her sit in a chair. He had the two outside doors shut and locked, so they couldn't come open. And he was down to his BBDs and just little tiny pants, And by the time he got down to those, he did about 3 flip flops,
Mm-hmm.
And when he landed right around her neck.
That's perfect.
I mean, he was right around her neck, and she was a big girl,
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in there just died laughing because I mean it was funny, and she was clawing at him trying to get him off of her. It was so funny, but they took a video of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then because there was some of the people in there that couldn't go to the party, because they just couldn't leave work, and whoever took that video shouldn't have done that, but they took it back and showed it to the other people at work,
Mm-hmm.
in Pam's office. She was so mad I believe she could have killed everybody that day. She was mad. Oh my gosh. And within a year, she started out with Chad Mast. Started out with him. She fired him. She fired everybody that had anything to do with it. And I was the last one to get. And of course, that wasn't the reason she gave, but the reason she gave was that they were going to shut my position down. And so they, and I said, you told me that, of course, I had already started drawing my Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you told me that I could work part-time, if you didn't need me full-time, because I was scanning and everything. And no, we don't need no part-time. We can't have no part-time people, And me and her had a big fight, and I told her, I said, go get Pam Warren and bring her in here. So she went and got Pam. And I told Pam just exactly what I told Christy. And then they have whenever you quit or get fired or whatever, they have a form you can fill out, with what went on while you were at work and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah, I know the one.
I wouldn't fill it out because I knew if I did, I was going to say things that, because I was really upset.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to work a couple more years. I was already drawing my Social Security, and I could work as many hours as I wanted to, so I was working Monday through Thursday. And she didn't like it because I was taking Friday off. That's not fair to the rest of the girls, And I said, why not?
Yeah.
I'm working 4 days a week, and I put in more hours in them 4 days than they put in their 5 days.
Yeah.
You'd
earned it.
But then when Dave Dart put on Facebook, after she got fired, Andy finally fired her for messing with the people that get special recognition.
Oh, the Elite Editions?
The Elite Edition Award. I was elected they had me down 3 different times for that, and she pulled it. She wouldn't let them, she took my name out.
Wow.
She did that to everybody in accounting. She did it to everybody in accounting. because nobody had elected her.
Oh.
Nobody had turned her name in. So anybody else that was in there that got their name, turned in and everything, well, she just pulled her name out. And she did mine 3 different times. But then, I don't know, a couple, 3 years after I retired, because I retired just shortly after that. Couple, 3 years after I retired, Dave Dart sent me an email. And the only thing he put on it was "she's gone." And I'm sitting in there at the computer going, yeah. I never was so thrilled about anything in a long time. And I've never seen her anywhere since she got fired.
Wow.
But I got to ask them over at Boone County Hospital. One of the people that does scheduling over there called me one day, and Brian and Angie once in a while, and Sandra Mandel was the only 3 people that ever called me Edie Mae.
Mm-hmm.
Brian used to do it because he thought it aggravated me, and it didn't bother me a bit. But she called to let me know, to confirm my appointment. This person did. And when I answered the phone, she said, "Edie Mae, this is Chrissy." And I've got to find out whether it's her or not. I just need to know. Why, I don't know. But that's, she called me Edie Mae. And I've never signed my name Edie Mae, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I signed it Edith M. Wood, and I have never signed it, Edie Mae or anything like that. And nobody over there called me Edie Mae.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got called a lot of other things, but I just don't know who she is that she would have known that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
makes you curious.
But some of these days I'll be over there and checking in there at that front office. And I'll ask them if they got anybody in there named Christy Lambert.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, her name may not be Lambert now. I don't know. I can't imagine anybody marrying the woman, but can't imagine that. But Angie, she used to call me that once in a while, if she was around Brian, because he was calling me that.
Mm-hmm. He probably rubbed off on her.
And Sandra Briggs, that woman he used to go with before he went with her, she still calls me that. I don't talk to her very often. And when I was growing up, everybody called me May, and the kids all called me May Sissy, because the little ones couldn't say Edith.
I see.
It was just hard for them to say, so they just called me May Sissy. And Lord, I went by that until I was 17 or 18 years old. And I said, y'all got to learn how to say my name.
And that's where you're...
That's what I got on my computer for my email address.
Yeah, I was wondering where that came from, but
May Sissy.
now I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And the 38th year I was born. That's the only way I could remember it. But I don't know. You say you got a friend that's working out there at Midway Arms?
Mm-hmm.
I've been out there several times and picked up stuff. Because I ordered Marty had me order a gun from out there for him.
Right.
No, just the holster for a gun that he had. The only gun he can have is the black powder guns.
I see. Yeah.
Because he's a felony. So, he can have a black powder gun. And he wanted a holster for one gun he had. And I called them out there, and they said, yeah, they said, we don't have it in stock, but we can order it. And it took 3 months to get that. And I kept calling, I called about every 2 or 3 weeks, Has it come in yet? Has it come in? I think he paid $38 and something for the holster, but it was a leather holster.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, for a decent holster, that sounds about right.
And we had to go out there, to pick it up and everything. And when you go out there to pick it up, you'd have to show your ID and everything to make sure that you was of age, I guess.
Yeah, it could just be making sure you're the right person.
Because I went in to pick it up, and I had to show my... And they asked me if I was a relative, and I said no. I said, he lives at my house, but I'm not a relative.
Mm-hmm.
But I said I did order the holster for him. And it's probably changed a lot since, because that's been a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, that would have been when Lori went out there. I don't know whether they even had any kids yet or not.
That is a long time.
Yeah. They might have had Carly, but I don't think they had Kelsey. But she didn't like it out there. Have you ever been inside it?
No, I haven't ever been inside the place itself.
It's very different. Cause you go in one place to order stuff, that you want to order, or you can place the order over the phone. But when you pick it up at a different location there at the store.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different. You might like it. You like firearms and stuff like that, you might really like it.
Yeah.
I think I've got Midway book laying down there. Cause I got of course that's an old book.
Yeah.
But they've got just about everything, and they've probably got a lot more now.
Yeah. They are pretty big.